Greetings, everyone. This is A Shot of Whiskey, bringing you my response to a somewhat recent video that was posted by what I believe to be a right-wing version of a feminist. Yes, unfortunately, those are a thing. The female who thinks she's more virtuous than she really is goes by the name of Hannah Cox, and her video is titled, "Red Pill Men Are Justifying Her Murder." I would hope that every one of you who's watching my video is scratching their heads at this title. It sounds ridiculous and contradictory, doesn't it? Well, unfortunately, Hannah is serious, and as much as I hate to say it, there is a small degree of truth to what that title says. Let me explain. Apparently, a woman named Jennifer was going through the divorce process and chose to post a video on TikTok updating her followers on the details. I'll go ahead and play it for y'all so that way we can be on the same page.
So, about to be a newly single mom, and I am in the middle of a divorce. My husband is being incredible though, like really and truly, like we're working together, everything's great, we're splitting everything down the middle, like, you know, everything is good. It is a very civil divorce with our daughter in mind, and I really appreciate that. However, you know, I'm going to be a mom, single income right now, and he will be helping with her, he will be supporting her, you know, so essentially, like, I'm really thankful for that, and that I will not have to worry so much about supporting her. However, I will be on a very limited income, with buying a new house and, you know, paying a mortgage and all that stuff. So, I've never done this before. I've never been on my own before. So, if you have any tips, saving money and making money, anything like that, like, I would really appreciate it. Like, you know, coffee at home, you know, I take caffeine pills, I do my own hair, nails, everything. Like, I do all that. So, yeah, if you just have any tips, like, I would really appreciate it, because, like, I'm a little scared right now.
Ignoring Jennifer's lack of keeping her hands on the wheel while driving, it sounds like things are going about as good as a divorce can, in particular from the perspective of her husband. Hell, according to many divorce stories that we've heard, this woman sounds kind of saintly in contrast. According to Jennifer, both adults are cooperating and doing their best to be fair for their children. Again, according to Jennifer, she could be lying, or her husband may simply have a different take, or something changed in the negotiations since this recording. But what matters is that she was deleted by her husband before he deleted himself, like the little bitch that he is. Or was, I guess. Fuck that guy who does not deserve name recognition. As Hannah's title would suggest, there were some assumably males tweeting about how she had it coming and that she drove him to this and other types of comments like that. Based on nothing resembling proof that I could see, Hannah slapped on the label "Red Pill" like a left-wing feminist will slap misogynist on a man for telling her no, or even worse, ignoring her.
I'm ignoring you. I said I'm ignoring you. Stop ignoring me, ignoring you!
You can ignore me, Trixie. Yay!
Hannah, if by chance you are watching this video and have made it to this point, I agree with you that this woman did not deserve what happened, and that these guys are all a bunch of a-holes for these comments. However, they are not red pill, even if they claim to be such. The red pill, the real red pill, is about finding the truths that our overlords want to suppress and hide away from us, just like in the movie The Matrix. You know, the original one from 1999, not the shitty one that came out in 2021. This behavior is not what the red pill teaches nor condones. And to all of those poor bastards making those idiotic comments,
you are so stupid.
Am I?
Idiot!
no matter how inaccurate that woman's claims may have been, or whatever sort of changes may have happened between Jennifer's TikTok video and her murder, there is no justification for what he did. None. The only possible exception would be if he did it out of self-defense. Even though that can be applicable to other stories, I highly doubt that was the case here, based on what is presented in Hannah's video.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
About 5 minutes into Hannah's video, she posts a tweet from Jeff Younger, which, if that's the same Jeff Younger I'm aware of, he's not a red pillar, but a father who had something similar happen to him. Much like Hannah did moments before, Jeff made a connection with this story. Hannah had a friend who was deleted by her husband, and Jeff had his ex-wife steal his kids away through the courts. Specifically, the Jeff I am talking about is the man who lost his case in protecting the gender of his son because California favors forcing children to change their genitals before they even know what genitals are.
Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
It could be possible that things had changed between the TikTok video and the horrible event that would have made Jeff's opinion somewhat correct. But rather than considering the possibility because Hannah cares more about the sisterhood than facts, she argues that if Jennifer were trying to take her kids from him, then it was good because he was clearly mentally unhinged while not giving a damn about the very things she pointed out moments before. To sum it up, nobody saw signs that he was abusive or at risk of doing anything like this, and Hannah acknowledged that sometimes passion can make someone snap. So that being said, how would Jennifer know this would happen? Answer, she wouldn't. We know nothing more than what has been presented, but Hannah cannot help herself but to let her misandry show. Hannah then lies about the point of no-fault divorce, which, to be fair to her, was brought on because some guys were claiming that this never would have happened if no-fault divorce was never a thing. Hannah, not only was the idea of wives fleeing from potential abusers not the primary reason why no-fault divorce became a thing, but it would not have been the case here. You are making things up because you refuse to acknowledge the possibility that you don't have all the facts on this specific case. Oh, and she also loves bringing up the bear debate, only further proving that women who choose the bear are stupid. And then she defends women leaving their husbands on the grounds of not being happy, because women and accountability go together like oil and water. She then lies about being a religious woman who doesn't believe in divorce. Which is it, you stupid broad? Should marriage be honored, or should women be allowed to terminate it because they just feel like it? You can't have both. Then again, like any feminist, she blames men for not being good enough husbands. Let's start hearing from Hannah herself.
And if you don't want to incur that risk, don't get married or get a prenup, or even better, get married, be a good husband, and don't be the kind of husband a wife wants to leave.
There are many men who do exactly that, and it isn't good enough for their ungrateful wives. Those women will still get bored, they will still be unhappy, they will still cheat, they will still lie to their husbands that their affair baby belongs to said husband. This is one of many reasons why I won't get married. I refuse to give a woman this type of opportunity to betray me.
Et tu, Brute!
Then she shares a tweet from someone who I have no idea who the fuck he is, pointing out that men ending themselves may have gone up since no-fault divorce. Then she mocks those men. Go figure. Now, I do agree with her that those men should not choose that option, but what she doesn't want to acknowledge is that these no-fault divorces destroy many men to the point where they feel like there is no other option. And while she is mocking those very men, she drops another feminist lie.
And this is why I am never, ever, ever going to sit here and have this conversation that, like, women are the more emotional sex. No, they're not. In fact, every bit of data I've seen backs up the fact that women, even when they have someone who's being rude to them, even when they have somebody who's disrespecting them, maintain decorum and still treat the other person with respect. Women, as a whole, do not fly off and murder husbands when they are cheated on, which men are statistically more likely to do.
Considering how often women scream and throw hands compared to men, especially over trivial stuff, this is a bunch of baloney. The only reason why husband-on-wife deletion is higher than the other way around is because women are less capable of it physically. Their abuse does not inflict as much damage as what men can do to them. But that does not mean they are less violent. It does not mean they are more emotionally stable. This is one of the reasons why females on TikTok were doing a trend where they were promoting the use of a specific type of man deletion potion as a subtle way to fight back. This is also one of the two major reasons why many men will not report DV when their wives or girlfriends are abusive. The other being that most people don't take them seriously enough to do anything about it, and I get the impression that Hannah is one of them.
Go on, Beast Boy. I'm listening.
Sometimes I think I'll never find love.
Shut up and be a man!
My heart.
For many of those men who do have a difficult time controlling their emotions, more often than not, it is because they were raised by single mothers who would not control themselves. These men had no guidance on how to be stoic or in control when the time was necessary. In my childhood, I was one of those. It took the guidance of real men, my wrestling coaches and my youth pastor, as opposed to my single mom who kept marrying losers from a local bar to help me mature enough to not allow my emotions to make an ass out of myself.
This fantasy where the woman's like, I'm just going to go have a great time and get divorced and blow up my family because I'm just a little bored and it's going to be so fun. I'm going to live off my husband and like just parade around. Like, this is not reality.
Sorry, Hannah, but yes, it is. There are a lot of women who do exactly that. Hell, there are women who brag about planning this type of thing ahead of time on all sorts of platforms, including TikTok. Shortly after Hannah dismissed another piece of reality that is inconvenient to her feminist worldview, she includes this.
This guy, Andy Alford, said, this kind of thing, divorce, not murder, is one of the chief reasons that young men are more and more reluctant to get married. And some woman responded to him and said, well, maybe that's best if they can't not kill someone in revenge and rage. Not only is that spot on, these kinds of men should not be getting married or procreating, and women need to make sure that they are sussing these kinds of men out and staying far, far, far clear of them. But it's an even more ridiculous thing for guys to threaten because it's not men who are choosing to be single. It's women. Women are the ones who control access to relationships. Women are the ones who are truly choosing to be single at a growing rate.
That may be true in your age demographic, Hannah, which in fairness looks to be the same as mine, but looks can be deceiving. That guy said young men, and he is correct. More and more young men are waking up to the realization that marriage is not worth it, and you thoughts made it that way.
We asked 100 single men on a scale of 1 to 10, how good does being married look to you? You said, about a 5, middle of the road. Survey said, there we go.
138 seconds later.
We asked 100 single men on a scale of 1 to 10, how good does being married look to you? You said, yeah,
That's
4. Survey
That's
said.
a good answer.
What? Number one. One was the number one answer.
Did you catch that after Steve revealed the number one answer was 1, Someone of the female gender said, "What?" As if though she was incapable of understanding what young men think. That's you. You, Hannah, are incapable of understanding young men, and you don't want to make the attempt.
I can see what's happening.
What?
Now, I'm not dismissing the women part, but that isn't new, Hannah. That trend has been going on for a few decades now, mostly on account of so many of our young ladies being brainwashed by feminism into believing that their only value is in being free from men while also being easy rides for men because somehow that's empowerment. Because having a degree and a high body count matters more than being a loving wife and mother. Again, according to the feminazi indoctrination. However, men are starting to catch up to the truth and to the numbers. It's called MGTOW, and younger men are starting to wake up to the truth that MGTOW teaches, which is the real reason why you do not like the red pill. The red pill is truth. You do not like the truth, least of all when men obtain it.
Where's the knowledge that I seek?
And no, Hannah, women do not control relationships. That's men. Women control sex. That is why more and more females are flocking to a certain site with OF as its initials. They know that they can manipulate weak men into giving them money in exchange for images and videos of mediocrity as opposed to proposing marriage.
I used to be an adventurer like you. Then I took an arrow in the knee.
This is also apparent in the dozens of stories we hear about singles meetups where dozens, even hundreds of women will show up, but only a few men will be there, if any at all. My personal favorite example is one where a woman organized a day of fishing and mingling. Several women showed up, yet despite how much of an effort she tried to recruit to men, none appeared. Hannah, you are living in a state of delusion, one that is powered by your internal hatred of men.
This post made me holler. This guy said, most men aren't single because there's something wrong with them that they can fix. I disagree.
Shut your noise tube, taco human.
Of course you disagree, because all you know is hating men. You do not know what we think or how we feel or what logical steps we took to reach this logical conclusion because you hate us and do not want to give us the benefit of doubt. But let's continue.
They're single because women don't want relationships with men. Telling this men to improve might help them displace another man in the running, but it doesn't increase men's overall odds. That doesn't make any sense.
Again, of course. Of course, it does not make sense to you because you are incapable of empathy. Because I can be a nice guy, let me put it in a way that someone with the brain of a squirrel might understand. Let's say that all men are squirrels, and all women are acorns that grow on a tree that represents our society.
My breasts are sure large and wet. Why do women do that, Naughty? I'm guessing low self-esteem. Better wipe her out before she devours the soul of a hard-working man. And shoo!
Currently, our tree is garbage, and as such, it produces more and more acorns that are garbage, which has a direct impact on the squirrels. Now, just to make the math simple for you, let's say that there is only one acorn on the tree that is good, and two squirrels who want that acorn. The one who gets that acorn will be the one who is most deserving, which in the case of squirrels will probably be the one who is the fastest. Anyway, only one squirrel can get it. What Honey Badger Radio is trying to say is that a squirrel could work hard to become the one most deserving of that acorn, aka the one who works on his speed. But that will mean there will still be another squirrel who will not have the acorn. Do you get it? It's a numbers game. Those two squirrels can't both be winners if they outnumber the good acorns.
Once they do, if they're not going to get anything out of the relationship, they're going to walk and never look back. And that is something that is happening more and more. Men are done playing games. They're done with the one-sided relationships. But ladies, you haven't caught on to that fact. You're still playing the game by the old rules.
This is so bleak for society that this is where the state of so many men are. And I don't want to hear people in my comments. I say this every time I talk about men's issues. I like men.
You're lying!
I agree, but you refuse to dive into the actual reasons why. You prefer blaming men and coddling women as if women are never at fault for anything. Keep calling out the disgusting pieces of fecal matter who treat their wives similarly to how left-wing feminists treat the unborn. I'm with you on that. But if you're going to pretend to care about men's issues, the least you could do is to not dismiss them when they are inconvenient to you.
Stop! You get away from me! Don't touch me!
Studies show that between 20 to 30% of divorces involve abuse as a significant factor.
Okay, let's take the largest number in that range, 30%, which I am speculating that the range is this wide on account that many DV cases are proving to be false, because, contrary to what Hannah believes, women lie. That means that there are at least 70% of divorces that have had no abuse associated with them whatsoever. What's the excuse for these unfaithful harlots that make up the other female-filed divorces, Hannah?
I think women cheat because they need validation.
On top of that, the red pill talking points around divorce are just dead wrong. Like, these guys are dolts who do not know how to read data and who've been denounced by every dietitian who ever encounters their work. Like, they are laughably bad at just understanding reality around them.
That's amusing, considering how wrong you are about the red pill and men's issues in general.
But just because they are more likely to do the paperwork doesn't mean that they are the ones that cause the marriage to fail.
Well, this is technically true. It is also false. She is the one filing the paperwork, which usually means that this is her decision to make and not his. And for the cases where she is simply bored or horny or whatever else would fall under no fault that women love to clinch onto, many appear to be immediate and rash decisions, ignoring the potential of seeking help, but the women have really been planning this out for months. They file for divorce while the husband believes everything is A-okay, where they are being the perfect husband that you pretend is lacking in these young men. So when the sudden demand for a divorce hits, it hits the unexpected man in the heart like a Mortal Kombat fatality.
Fatality. Gitano wins.
We know that statistically, men are more likely to cheat.
Maybe according to stats from the 1980s, nowadays stats indicate that it is about even, and it might even be more so the case of wives being the unfaithful ones. And the internet has helped them make this possible. Remember Ashley Madison? Before that site went under, it had more female patrons than males, and by a lot. Have you heard of cuckoldry? Not only are there more and more women who are being bold enough to try it behind their husband's back, but for the last several years, the left has been trying to normalize it, demanding that men stop opposing the idea of their wives having affairs, and even going so far as to say that the act of wives cheating is good for the marriage.
Women cheat more than men?
Far more.
Come on.
Far, far more.
Come on.
Far from.
Why do you think women cheat more than men?
Because they're in denial about the infidelity. When they cheat, they don't even label it as that.
And men are more likely to just be deadbeats in the marriage. I've talked about this over and over and over, but the number of men who are married, who have kids, who are physically present, but who are totally checked out, that do not help with the child rearing, that do not help around the house, that don't help run errands or even manage just the general workload of having a house, of having a family, is extreme.
Yeah, she lies about men and their roles in the house. Go figure. Hannah, if you're even close to being the traditional religious woman that you're pretending to be, you should know that, to keep it simple, his contributions are external, hers are internal, until it becomes something she cannot handle. like garbage disposing, or disciplining children, or spider removing and or killing, or intruder searching and fending off, or furniture moving back and forth, etc. Most men do more than their fair share around the house, but feminists have convinced dumb thoughts like you that men don't do enough, if anything at all.
I don't get paid enough for this, man.
So I am personally not very convinced that there are a lot of women out there who are just like, YOLO, let's break up the marriage for fun. No, they have gotten to a point in the marriage where being single and being a single mom feels easier than staying.
But your hamster ran away because you're dumb.
Because, again, women are emotional as opposed to logical. Oh, my husband doesn't cook dinner every night after he comes home from work, and I won't make anything beyond mac and cheese, so I'm going to divorce him because that makes more sense.
I'm divorcing my husband because he booed Taylor Swift at Super Bowl, and I still don't think he believes me, to be honest, but he might want to start, because I just filed my paperwork at the courthouse, and you can see right here.
Bye, Felicia.
The women who think that are stupid and emotional, and many women who are much older than you and I will tell them that they are stupid. You want more proof that women are more emotional than men? Look at human resources.
We have human resources?
Women are far more likely to complain to HR over their feelings getting hurt than men will complain about anything, because men are more likely to shrug it all off on account of realizing that words are not harmful. Oh, and let's not forget the fact that men are less likely to be taken seriously.
It's still the root of all evil, 'cause I've been there and done that.
What's also true is that in divorces, women rarely get alimony, which is like a favorite talking point of these red pill losers who probably don't even make enough money to be considered for alimony.
A lot of that depends on the state and the situation, but the fact that it still exists is good enough reason to talk about it, to research it, and to be wary of it. After shaming men for valuing their money by doing the typical feminazi brain rot of accusing us of being broke, Hannah intentionally conflates alimony with child support, something that is supposed to be only for the children in question, as opposed to getting her nails did. She mocks us for taking issue with women getting $500 a month for child support, which again is not alimony, while claiming that alimony almost never happens. Maybe it's not as prevalent in her specific southern state, but in many, many others, it's an almost guarantee, even if a prenup is signed.
The question is, can the courts overturn or undo a prenuptial agreement? And the answer is yes.
And additionally, when they get divorced and they have kids, women do typically get stuck providing primary care for their kids because fathers don't even ask for custody the majority of the time.
Ignoring the already stated point about child support, if you, Hannah, actually gave a damn about men's issues instead of lying about them, you might have a clue as to why that is. In most states, the woman is the default recipient of child custody unless the husband can prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that the kids are in direct harm being with their mother. And even that's not a guarantee.
Dakota County had placed Eli back with Thaler full-time, despite concerns with her mental health and criminal history.
In many cases, a father will see the idea of the mother having primary care as being logical, either because the falsehood that women are better parents is deeply engraved into his psyche, or because he understands that he works too damn much to be able to be there for the kids. Again, going back to my personal example, both of these were my father's train of thought when he and my mom were getting divorced 40 years ago, which happened because my mother had an affair out of revenge over something that never happened. He worked shitty hours at a Freightliner plant and had a side job over the weekends as a musician.
Changes. Tits. A fish. A fish with tits. Titty fish.
It would have been impossible for him to take care of 2 kids under 5 on his own. He saw the logic in having us being raised by mom, so much so that he defended her when baby daddy number 3 tried to attack her and me while fighting for custody of his child. Perhaps I'll make a video on that story some other time. Another reason many of these fathers don't fight for custody as much as they possibly should is because their attorney advised it, and those fathers are too weak to argue with said lawyers, similar to how many attorneys will convince the mothers to lie about being victims of abuse.
Which is basically, they suggest to them, hey, how about if you allege domestic violence, file this domestic violence restraining order in family law court, even though maybe you don't need it. Maybe he's the one who broke up with you. You guys are done. You know, you're living in separate places. You're all good. But if you file that and you are successful, now you get a leg up on custody. And now that 75% that you wanted, well, that is back on the table.
Geez, the more I hear you talk, Hannah, the more I feel sorry for your husband and any sons you might have.
You'll have to do what I tell you, how I tell you, and when I tell you.
I will. Oh, I will. I'm putty in your domesticating hands.
What's also true is that study after study continues to show it's men who benefit the most from marriage and families, not women.
Bullshit. I have seen those studies, and they are designed to deceive. One example is the claim that married men live longer than unmarried men. How this is deceptive is that it does not factor in the reasons why, so I will. Those married men have nags at their side, the type of nags who are more likely to control everything. For example, they may want to force their husbands to change their diets, denying those men the edible choices that they desire. It's the, oh, I want a steak, not a salad mentality. They may live longer due to slightly better health choices, but those years will be filled with depression, fear, and submissiveness. Likewise, if a man wants to make a personal purchase, any purchase, he needs permission from his nagging ball and chain. He wants a Harley?
It goes nag, 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 nag.
He wants a gaming console?
Nag, 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 nag.
He wants a second pair of shoes?
Nag, 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 nag. Bitch, bitch, bitch.
And should he dare go behind her bossy back, there's a good chance she will storm out and take the kids to Grandma's house in a fit of selfish, hypocritical rage.
Don't worry, I didn't use your money. Use mine.
Finish your dinner and then pack a bag. We are going to Meemaw's. Why? Because your mom and dad need a break from each other.
Most of those misandrous studies also lumped all unmarried men into one group, including the divorced men who were more likely to self-delete due to the harsh circumstances of the divorce, such as having no place to live and struggling to afford food, with the men who choose solitude, freedom, and happiness. I'd rather die in my 70s having lived a happy life than die in my 80s with a nag directing every step I take, which, by the way, many of us MGTOW include self-care as part of our lifestyles. We don't need a nag. We don't want a nag.
This is nice. This is better.
Another topic within these studies covers finances, which I've already discussed on this channel, but I'll sum it up for you, Hannah, since your smooth emotional brain prevents you from understanding the plights of men or how to use basic mathematics.
Don't you use your fancy mathematics to muddy the issue.
Typically, married men have to provide for more bodies than single men have to. They have to provide for you females and however many kids y'all have, on top of having a bigger place to buy and then care for. And you might also add in some pets, and there's going to be school fees and doctor's visits and road trips, and do you get it yet? Married men have to reach for more financially because they have more responsibilities and potential faux pas that can ruin their lives.
64 bottles of beer on the wall. 64 bottles of beer. One of them bottles.
You stink, Al.
Most self-chosen bachelors don't have those needs, and as such are less likely to feel the need to pursue higher-paying jobs and positions. Of course, that doesn't mean they can't make such pursuits, but they don't have as many reasons to feel like they need to. These studies lie to simpletons like you by claiming that being a married man automatically means he will be getting more money because of it, and that should be a reason for us MGTOW to obey and submit to your female-centric domestic tyranny.
I'm free. I'm free.
I've said it before and I'm going to keep saying it. The good men in this country have got to wake up and reckon with what's going on with the younger male generations. They are not all right. They have been failed by deadbeat dads. They have been coddled by their boy moms. They're soft, they're weak, and they are in the process of creating very hard times if this isn't stopped.
I would say you are partially correct on this one. Yes, us older men do need to be there for the younger men more, because feminazi hags like you are lying to them and attacking them on the grounds of them being males. You touched only a little on the moms or women in general being the problem, but spent all this time bad-mouthing the men, ignoring the realities of young women out there that you want these young men to submit to. Why should they? These young women are not worthy of any man's attention, time, or money because they lack
morals, ethics, values, and principles.
And they boast about being whores in public and online.
So do you object? It sounds like you object to this term, slut.
No, I love it. I love it when we can reclaim it.
Women also created a movement with a hashtag that had been weaponized against males since its beginning. These fellas don't want to go to prison for trying to date, so why bother trying? Females have ruined males' lives by lying about this topic, so much so that some males do everything they can to avoid interacting with them. However, as the high school boy from Pennsylvania who had 5 female classmates target him can attest to, solitude isn't enough to keep our lads safe. Even after one of those 5 girls admitted to the lie, the boy was still punished for something that never happened.
You're a monster. I'm not the monster here. You are.
How are young men supposed to interact with young women when this reality you want exists? Whether you want to admit it or not, Hannah, the young squirrels of today have less acorns of value available thanks to the decaying trees that are producing these nutcases, and they are waking up to this. More and more squirrels are realizing that the only acorns worth getting are not acorns at all. They're the containers of red-colored nuts that some random men give them daily online because they care more about the squirrels than the acorns ever will.
He said nuts.
Keep moving, Colonel. A man that eloquent has to be saved.
Focus your attention on the young women. Encourage them to be better people, better girlfriends, and better wives, because you clearly are not the right person to tell young men how to be good husbands. And stop conflating the red pill with those men. I get that you most likely have no idea what the red pill is, which is all the more reason why you should stop lying about it. The red pill is against the idea of husbands deleting their wives, because the truth is that this is horrible and selfish, and the consequences are irreparable. His offspring will suffer far more now than if daddy went through with the divorce. Keep calling out these morons who are missing the point, but don't lie about things that have nothing to do with it. For someone who named her show Based Politics, you sound as based as the nosebleed section of T-Mobile Park.
Well, that's a baseball metaphor, so I guess it's okay.
Gentlemen, enjoy your lives, preferably nag-free, but never forget, don't delete women, no matter how much they have it coming, and never abuse alcohol because it will abuse you back. Take care, everyone.